Regag them. Welcome on board. It's good to have you. My name is Linda Alela. It's a beautiful Thursday morning and we're looking forward to greatness as we stare at the weekend. In studio with me, of course, I'll be introducing the gentleman that will help us decipher on these stories. But for now, allow us to briefly take a look at what stories we have prepared or what stories my team has prepared. We will perhaps look at the political ones before we get to the conversation. A reminder that you can interact with us as the hashtag is Morning Cafe at Linda_Lela TV47KA, and we'll be sampling some of your comments as we continue with the broadcast. Also later on, we'll be getting into understanding some more about scrap metals upon that ban during the Uhuru time, just what adjustments have been made so far and how much has sanity been restored in this very sector. Also being a Thursday, it's important that we get into the social aspect of life, and therefore we'll be discussing just how best you can teach your children finances. Before then, a school in Kangemi area was tear-gassed as police engaged in running battles with protesters. A number of students were hospitalized with irate parents up in arms over the incident, which they say is a repeat offense. Our reporter Zainab said that there's more to this.
Aggrieved mothers of Kihumbuini Primary School students couldn't hold back their emotions after today's incident in which police lobbed a tear gas canister inside one of the classrooms. According to those who witnessed the incident, learning was going on as usual before a cat-and-mouse chase between the police and Azimio protesters led to the incident. The irate mothers who blamed both Azimio leader Raila Odinga and President William Ruto for the incident said their disputes cannot be solved at the expense of the lives of the young ones.
Watupea peace. Tuko na watoto kwa shule na wanakuja kuharibu mpaka shule. Tumetoka na hao watu wawili. Watupea na amani. Ni mzazi, nimeenda shughuli yangu napata mtoto wangu anafendi. Kwa nini? Ruto anatuumiza kwa nini? Anapiga watoto wetu, watoto wanataka watoto waende wapi? Wanataka watoto waende wapi? Maisha ni ngumu.
The over 50 students who were taken to Eagles Nursing Home are said to have stabilized, with none being in critical condition. This is not the first time a tear gas has been lobbed inside a school compound in the area since the Azimio protest began. Over a month ago, tear gas was lobbed inside a school in Kawangware area, leading to the hospitalization of 35 students. It is unclear whether the act was deliberate or accidental. Zainab Mohammed, T47.
And Nairobi's central business district was brought to a standstill following the fear of attacks from both the police and the protesters. Most business people did not open their shops, and even areas where many people converge remained deserted, as Paul Kirobi details.
Nairobi's capital city, where many people converge to carry out their business, remained deserted on the better part of Wednesday. On a typical week, most people converge around this place, famously known as Archives, a favorite meeting place for many. However, today, the area is being marked by police officers to ensure no distractors attempt to disrupt the city's activity. Shops, supermarkets, and even roadside sellers were nowhere to be seen on this day, painting a picture of the clash between politics and business. Sefi Nauma is a conductor from one of the largest slums in the city. She says the high cost of living has terribly affected her standards of living, to the extent her children are suffering.
Tumechoka. Sasa mpaka watoto wanafukuzwa school fee. Mwalimu na utamwambia una pesa, yeye hata amini hiyo. Hata amini. Haya, hii kazi yetu, mimi ni conductor. Hii kazi yetu. Mwenye gari umejua yeye pesa yake anaongojea. Ujioni 2,000.
It remains to be seen if this will be the new normal, as Raila Odinga has promised to continue with the protest, even as the Kenya Kwanza government maintains hardline stance over negotiations with him. Paul Kirobi, TV47, Nairobi.
Still on that, as Azimio One Kenya Coalition anti-government demonstrations continued across the country, property was destroyed and some extent loss of lives. The government has, as a result, termed the incidents as culture of impunity, mobilizing all the law enforcement agencies of the state to conclude investigations urgently and proceed to the arrest and prosecution of all those that were involved in the planning and execution of the crimes committed Wednesday. Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki warned that those who took part directly or indirectly shall be punished. Micah Gungo with that.
Good morning.
After running battles between the police and angered Kenyans in some parts of the country, the government has condemned the act, blaming Azimio leader Raila Odinga for wanton looting and destruction of property. In his Wednesday evening statement, Kindiki said all those who took part directly or indirectly in what he termed as a well-orchestrated violation of public safety and insecurity will be punished. Kindiki says the government has mobilized all the law enforcement agencies of the state and the institutions of criminal justice system to conclude investigations urgently and proceed to the arrest and prosecution of all those involved in the planning and execution of crimes committed, including those who funded or otherwise aided or abated the offenders. Odinga has been at loggerheads with President Ruto's administration since its inauguration in order to put pressure on the Kenya Kwanza government over what he described as its purposeful implementation of policies intended to harm Kenyans. Odinga called for demonstrations on Wednesday. However, Kindiki blamed the former Prime Minister and his lieutenants for all the violent crimes, thefts, and destruction of both public and private property during the protests. The CS also acknowledged that some locations registered fatalities during the nationwide protests. He accused Azimio of lying to the police that they will be holding a peaceful political rally at the Kamukonji grounds, only for them to unleash terror on innocent Kenyans, as a result of which lives were lost, scores of law enforcement officers and civilians grievously injured, and unimaginable loss of the country's economy occasioned. Consequently, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi termed Azimio la Umoja leader Raila Odinga as selfish, challenging him to be open to Kenyans over the parameters they are pegging their protest on. Mudavadi said Azimio is only after causing mayhem and to disrupt the Kenya Kwanza's plan of taking the country's economy back on track.
Wanatuelekeza kwa barabara ya unafiki, wanatudanganya kwamba kuna njia nyingine. Sasa wewe ukiuliza Raila hapa, na mimi nimewahi kuwa waziri wa fedha, umuulize Raila hapa sahi, wewe Raila, tupatie mpangilio yako ya kututoa kwa hii shimo. Nakumbuka kwa maandamano yao yote hawajatoa alternative.
Mike Kagwango, TV 47, Nairobi.
Gentlemen, we are on air already. I like it when I have people who are quite passionate about what is playing out in the country. And that's basically what we'll be getting into from the stories that we have picked this morning. They obviously form the basis of our conversation. It's not a time where we should be happy as a country. There is cause for concern, first of all, because of the obvious reasons that Kenyans are complaining about, cost of living, the high taxes, just how best can the government guarantee that even as you collect taxes, then there's going to be value for money? How do you address the question of corruption, making sure that all that is collected then goes to use for purposes of development? These are some of the things that we look at, and are the things that we've looked at for the better part of this year. We do not relent, we do not stop from talking about them, because this is basically what will make sure that as a nation we forge forward and in the right way. So we are delighted to have Bosco Mutegi Kura for the very first time on a set on Morning Cafe. Of course, he's a friend of TV 47, but on Morning Cafe, he finds himself here for the very first time, governance analyst, and equally, one of the key figures that have driven the county of Embu. It does not take the governor alone to drive a county. beyond the governor. There are faces that are right behind there that ensure that, a county is, managing well, and so is the nation. There is the president and very many other people who are his advisors, who are working close to him, who are part of his communication team that make sure that the national government then functions well. So it's good to have you, Bosco, for the very first time. I've been following you, and I understand very well that you are one of the few people that will be good enough to articulate the issues that we're about to speak to this morning. So, karibu sana to this set, and it's looking forward to have you more and more.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Karibu sana. Wakili, huyu sasa ni member. Hata, at this point now you want to switch from English to Swahili.
Yes.
Wakili Ndegwa Njiro, constitutional lawyer, thank you so much as well for creating time to be with us. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Linda. Only that I've always oftenly forgotten to mention my Twitter handle.
We should all mention our Twitter handles, I think so, yeah? So that we keep the conversation going.
We keep the conversation going.
Huko kwako niliona kulikuwa kumewaka juzi, walikunyeshea?
No, what happened is that, yes, on Twitter, I made an observation, which I've, but let me just make my handle known.
Yes.
It's Ndegwa Njiro at Njiro Advocate. Ndegwa Njiro ADV at Njiro ADV. Now, it is true, there was a bit of fireworks that took place on my Twitter handle. Of course, having been triggered by the so-called the Grand Mullah, the former LSK president, the former JSC, but a person who really feels that he's being threatened by the new entrances. And for that we have no apologies, because he has to learn how to live with other people's opinion.
Okay.
The fact that my opinion differs with Ahmed Nasir's opinion does not make him any great by degenerating into names calling and demeaning people. I actually looked at the Guinness Book of Records. I did not find any person going there down on record of how great he was because he demeaned or belittled somebody. So Ahmed Nasir must learn that. That doesn't make him great, that he can only react to an opinion in a manner that puts another person's down. And I'm looking for him to tell him that face to face. But the issue I had raised is an issue I'll still raise to date.
And you have raised here?
Yes, I have said I am very apprehensive. And my apprehension is actually almost being confirmed that William Ruto and his brother, Mr. Gachagua,
might not have.
They might not have read this constitution.
Might.
If they have read it.
What is might?
And actually I will say they have not read this constitution. If they have read it, they have not understood it. If they have understood it, they have not comprehended it. If they have comprehended it, they are not living true to the spirit and the creed of the constitution.
So the word is might here, because you see, by the time you are going, by the time you're saying, I do not agree to this constitution, and you proceed to the level of the vote, to cast a vote against it, it is simply because you've gone through it and you feel like this is not the right document.
You know why?
Of Kenya.
You know, people are able to overcome some of these things and then appreciate there is a new constitution, and then start living to the creed and to the call of that constitution. But the way when you look at what is happening in this country, court orders are issued, they are not respected. Parliament has now been mutilated, completely rendered impractical. It has become a moribund. It has become dysfunctional. There is no parliament courtesy of the executive. You've seen that now the executive has left the State House to Parliament, and procedurally and constitutionally. You've seen how Parliament has been infiltrated to the extent that Parliament no longer listens to the persons who voted them in. They no longer listen and pay attention to the voices of the individuals who voted for him. How, Linda? You remember during the debate of the finance bill, 93% of Kenyans said, we do not support this bill.
Where did they say that?
Remember, it's a constitutional requirement for there to be public participation. If you look at Article 10 and you look at Article 118, it has clearly indicated that public participation must be undertaken. Now, the question that we are asking the High Court to interpret is, what is the place of public participation in legislation? Because the Constitution contemplates a situation of legislation by information. You inform, then you legislate. Not legislate and then you inform. And that is the purpose the public participation is supposed to play out. Now, when 93% says, we do not support this, does that bide the members of parliament? Noting that Article 96 speaks about representation.
Right.
The people you are representing have said, we do not want this bill.
You as representatives.
You as our representatives, then how do you go on and legislate? And that is why we are then saying that to the extent that the parliament has abrogated the functions of representation by failing to listen to the people that they are supposed to represent, then the people have a right to resort to Article 1.
Sovereignty.
That of exercising direct power.
Hold it right there. Let's allow Bosco as well to come in on this very matter.
Linda, it's unfortunate. When I don't want to talk about what my friend talked about, but I'm really, I was really trying not to talk about what they have talked, but in the profession that Wakili is in, it's good to respect their seniors. The Grand Mullah is a senior. Everybody knows he's a senior to some of us, to Wakili, and to all these people. So it's good to have decorum and respect them and talk to them in the right words, whether there is a dispute or not. Let me not belabor the point. That is done. When Wakili talks about, he has talked about a lot of good things and he has articulated his points, which we really appreciate. And Wakili is a good man. I've known him for a while, well learned, and he articulates his point very well. But it's wrong to attack leaders and all that. When you talk about the president and the deputy president not to have the knowledge of the Constitution, I mean, what are you telling us? These people are in power. They were elected through the Constitution. The matter went to court. The Constitution or the judiciary declared them winners. Why are you even talking about that people don't know the Constitution? So, I mean, we may not get, let's not get excited, not abusing, but challenging our leaders using the wrong connotations, you get? So, away from that, if we can now focus on the real issues that affect Kenyans, other than the Twitter handles and the Grand Mullah, and
that one was a by the way. That was a by the way. That was a by the way.
I'm now saying that was a by the way. So can we focus now on the issues that are affecting Kenyans?
And I think these issues are affecting Kenya. The Finance Act is a conversation that is here. Yes. It is basically affecting Kenyans. Precisely. And that's why Wakili says that, well, from what it is that we witnessed, public participation was conducted. It looks like, 98%.
My concern with the Finance Act, when it talks about Kenyans were 93%. No, he said 93% of Kenyans showed no confidence with the finance bill. That is a lie, flat foot.
All right, even if it was 70.
No. What is the SI
out
unit?
Of 100.
No. How did he arrive there? What is the SI unit? How did he arrive at the 93%?
Well, he will tell you how he arrived at it.
So before even we get to the SI unit, what I'm trying to say, we might belittle these things. The finance bill. The Finance Act of 2023 is not anything new. Every year.
We do have finance acts, that's for sure.
Every year we have the finance bill of the counties, the national government and all that. The only unique thing about the finance bill of the 2023 was that people politicized it. And it has very good things in the finance act.
Politicized or people who are involved, engaged, perhaps way better than what it has been previously.
Which is good for all of us. Now, precisely, which is good for all of us because the Finance Act, the Finance Bill of 2023 has very good things there. For example, when you talk about the affordable housing, for example, to me it's a good thing.
Right.
Very good thing. Because in the previous regime, which Wakili I know is a sympathizer to, the regime of Uhuru Kenyatta, which messed this country in a big way People used 360 billion to mess around with BBI. People used a lot of billions to do with the Huduma number. People who are approving, ministers who are approving budgets on WhatsApp. I mean,
and Bosco, while it is important to look at what the future or the previous times have been,
correct,
we also have agreed that it is now time that the Kenya Kwanza stops, labeling the blame on the previous government and focus.
That is why I'm
if you
here.
argue, Wakili, we're coming to you. If you argue that, let's take it step by step.
Correct.
We are in the Finance Act. It was a bill first before it got to this level. If you argue that, yes, 93% were not against it, in terms or in form of the public participation process that was conducted, what is your argument then? How many supported
I'm not part
this?
of the figures of the SI. I was asked, what was the SI unit to arrive at the 93%? What I know...
What is the SI unit to challenge that?
No, what I'm saying, how I'm challenging it, I know over 100%, or near the 90, call it even in the 93%, were supporting the bill.
Is it?
In this country, because I'm part of the people who are supporting it in this way. The affordable housing project is the best thing that this country could ever have. The affordable housing project, or the affordable housing levy or tax or whatever you want to call it, started in the previous regime.
Is it well thought? Is it well thought? Do you really understand as an individual how you are going to eventually own that house?
Definitely.
Is it clear who is going to handle the funds?
Can I tell you how clear it is?
Allow us to take a short break.
Thank you,
Lupin
Linda.
Mheshimiwa, Wakili will start with you
All
and
right.
then Lupin Mheshimiwa after the short break. We're here, gentlemen, we are back. We are back, and we get to a very, very important conversation this morning with the gentlemen. And finally, the last of them is here with us in studio. Right next to me is Bosco Mutegi, Santi Sana, governance expert. No, governance analyst. Thank you so much for creating time to be with us this morning, as well as constitutional lawyer Ndegwa Njiru and Member of Parliament of Tigania West, Honorable George Butunga. Before I allow him a minute to say something or so, or to say jambo to his people, Wakili, you had a point?
Yes, I was saying that the most unique thing about the Finance Act and why it has brought a lot of hue and cry is because it's the first time the country has enacted such a draconian and oppressive law. Not that the Kenyans are getting to learn about this law the first time.
Right.
We have previously participated in the enactment of such kind of an act. Only that the same has never been as oppressive and as draconian as it is now, to the extent that the act does not respond to the plight of the Kenyans. It does not even appreciate the plight of the Kenyans. And that is why it has become a debate. Not that Kenyans are getting to learn of a Finance Act today. It is unfortunate that an individual can think that out of the 47 million Kenyans, that's only 2 or 3 people who are bright enough to understand that Finance Acts are there. You know, they have always said, and if you've listened to Karl Marx has always been held an opinion that the success of the bourgeois and the thriving of the bourgeois is always grounded on the profound and abundant ignorance of the proletarians. So the more the proletarians are ignorant, the more it is, and the better it is for the bourgeois. And this time around, we're talking about the bourgeois. You can even call them the aristocrats, the ruling class. The more ignorant we are on issues, the better for them to thrive in making sure that they undermine our ability to govern ourselves. And that is why you saw the petty bourgeois who convened in parliament were able to overlook the input of the Kenyans. Because for them, they think that Kenyans are so much ignorant, we're not able to understand how and the implication of such kind of levies, the implication of the finance bill to us. So we are simply saying that it's unfortunate that now Kenyans are properly enlightened. When they were campaigning, there was a cliche that was saying that wajinga squeeze wamekwisha, Kenya hakuna wajinga tena. I don't understand how then they think that we are now wajinga tena, yet they were priding us of having left that ujinga kitambo. So we're simply telling them, if they do not change, Kenyans will change them. And we saw it yesterday. We even saw it on Monday. On Monday.
Before we go to that,
yes.
Before we go to that, and you know, on Monday and where the Right Honorable Raila Odinga was, and on Tuesday where he was, we have a member of parliament here, a representative of the people, and equally a friend of the Kenya Kwanza government, perhaps a member.
The ones that I'm describing as petty bourgeois. Are
you, Mheshimiwa?
Thank you very much, Linda, and my colleagues here. I'm sorry I'm late. Of course, there are many issues on the road. I found the discussion ongoing, and I've heard his presentation, and I'm a bit taken aback because I think the first question I would like to pose is, where did we lose our patriotism? That we basically have already classed ourselves. For whose interests are laws made in this country? Are we trying to say that every law that we make, especially this finance bill, was made for those who have and not to those who don't have? Are we trying to say that the efforts of the Kenya Kwanza government is basically to enrich the rich and to impoverish the poor? That is the wrong way to go. What we saw yesterday is a combination of a lot of pressure and a lot of misstatements and misleading statements in this particular respect. People have lost direction. Those who are supposed to guide the people are misleading them, practically, openly, deliberately misleading them, and telling them that you are mistreated, you are misused, everything has been done against you. I don't think Kenya Kwanza government has any intent to mistreat anyone. We should ask ourselves, where are we coming from? What kind of a country do we have? What can we continue doing so that probably we can make everybody happy? Does continuous borrowing and therefore auctioning this country to the foreigners make us better? Does it make us better as a country?
Certainly.
Do we grow? Do we therefore flourish as a people who, does overdependence on the government make Kenya better? Isn't having effort that will make individuals contribute to this economy, isn't it the way to go? I think we have a lot of training and teaching We are unlearning the Kenyans and filling them with the wrong notion. The bitterness we saw yesterday, where we saw it, is completely out of the Constitution. There is no constitutional provision that provides that people can stone others, that people can burn cars, that people can kill others. There is no constitutional provision in this country. Article 37 that people keep relying on clearly says and states that picketing has to do with an organized presentation, an organized way of presenting your views when people are supposed to be unarmed. And I want to underline the issue unarmed. If you are somebody like, for instance, somebody in a position that you've been given a bodyguard, the bodyguard is normally armed. Even if you yourself may have a license, you can leave your gun in the house. But your bodyguard is licensed, he has a gun. You carry your bodyguard to the picketing process, to the procession. Anything happens, the bodyguard uses his firearm. That is not the context into which the Constitution was made. The Constitution was made to the sense that if you have to picket, you do it in a systematic manner, in a way that you don't disrupt anybody's business, in a way that you don't interfere with anybody's property. And we have never done that in this country.
Before we come
and
to
we know who is the proponent of this.
And we're going to come to the bill that has been presented in Parliament.
But even before we come to the bill, I love the way Mheshimiwa has brought that issue.
Yeah.
You see, violence and rebellion begins when an individual decides to replace Article 37 by his deeds and actions. When Inspector Koome comes and says that I have outlawed any kind of picketing, in this total disregard of Article 37, what you do is that you create a situation of rebellion to them that want to express themselves through that means. So it becomes a contest between those who are saying, I will do, and between those who are saying, I'll not do. So the police will use all manner of force like they did yesterday, killing people with live bullets, to make sure that they have prevented people from enjoying their constitutional rights. And that's why I'm saying again and buttressing my point, that we are being led by individuals who have never read the Constitution, because if they had, they would understand the import of Article 37. Why was it peaceful that Raila Odinga was able to walk in town on Monday morning, addressed a bigger crowd than the one that was in Kamukunji yesterday, peacefully? Why? Because there were no police. Remember, Kenyans have a very bad history with the police. To an extent that when we were doing our constitution in 2010, we decided even to change their description from a police force to a police service. We have a bad history from the colonial era, where police has been used against the civilians, to the extent that the civilians who expresses their rights in a manner that does not please the power that be, police are always applied to make sure that they quell that voice of
We also
reason.
cannot overlook the rogueness of some of the individuals beyond that triggered actually.
Why don't we compare Monday and yesterday?
Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Monday,
Tuesday also Kenyatta.
Yeah. Yes, he was in Kenyatta. Why don't we compare Monday, Tuesday, and yesterday?
Hold it. Let's allow Bosco
there must
to
be
come
a
in.
comparison.
And Bosco, very pertinent points, first of all, that are being raised, and I know you have also your own submissions as to this, but two, three things. First of all, Mheshimiwa says that we have to make adjustments as to how we have been conducting activities in the country so that we run away from debt and all that. And this is almost becoming a cliche, that you cannot tax your way to prosperity. I'd love for you to speak to that. But at the same time, is it double speak? And Wakili had alluded to the fact that there's a lot of contempt of courts, there's a lot of, the members of the government themselves going against what the laws are saying. So how can you speak to the people and tell them you have to go by what the Constitution speaks as to picketing, while you yourself are going against the law?
Linda, I'm very worried this morning because when I hear we are discussing maandamano, first of all, who brought this maandamano and what is the intention? What is the objective? What is the motive of the maandamano at the end of the day? Is it because of Raila, or is it because of Kalonzo, or is it because of someone who is dissatisfied with the election, or is it some personal interest whereby...
I can answer you.
Can I prosecute my
Proceed,
case?
proceed.
So is it
yesterday?
I've not finished my prosecution, then you talk. Because I was quiet when you were speaking.
Okay.
I think that's a proper way of...
Proceed,
So I'm
proceed.
saying, is it because the perennial demonstrators, we have seen people who have demonstrated from 1992 to date. I'm talking of Orengo, Raila. They're the same people who are protesting even today. Why are they protesting? The question is, your answer is as good as mine. They want presidency, which is not there for, it is not available, which is not there for, is not available for them now.
Why is it that these protests do not become unpopular all these years?
Why was there no protest during Uhuru's time? Why?
Well,
because there was a handshake.
That was not presidency.
So correct.
Was that presidency?
What?
Had they gotten the presidency that you're speaking about?
Maybe half of it, or I'm saying, if they, precisely, they are looking for something like that in this government, which is not there, which is not available. The president, our president, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, was very clear in his campaign. Hakuna nusu mukate, and he repeated that over and over again. What am I saying? The reason there are protests in the country, and it is sad. We have lost over 10 people yesterday in different places. When the youth storm a police station, for example, Linda, what is stored in a police station? Are there mangoes or bananas? It is a police station. When you attack the police, Mheshimiwa will tell you, they are attacking the sovereignty of our country. The Constitution is very clear. Article 1. The preamble of the Constitution, before you even get to Article 1, talks about the sovereignty of the people. It's in the people themselves.
Yes,
when you can I talk now? You know, this shouting
proceed.
work. I'm saying this. The people are protected by the Constitution. I want to say this. The rights of the people who are picketing. Article 37 talks about the persons have. Every person has a right to picket, demonstrate, blah, 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 unarmed, peaceably. Mheshimiwa was very particular on that word, unarmed. So when you storm a police station in the name of demonstrations, you expect the police to greet you and hug you? And you're throwing stones at them? This is how you're killing people. This is how we are killing our children. Raila Amolo Odinga should be remorseful, should appreciate that he is a parent.
And he said, yesterday he said he's not going to proceed to Kamkunji because...
No, I'm saying this, Linda. Let me just finish. 1 minute.
Yeah.
I'm saying Raila is our father. We respect him. He has fought for the Constitution. He has fought for the rights of people and all that. He has fought for the democracy, even if at the end of it we see him doing funny things like employing his children, but also Kalonzo employing their children to Iyala. Yeah, they're in Iyala. They are in Iyala, Linda.
They are in Iyala. We all understand the procedures of getting someone to Iyala.
Precisely.
And we also have had an argument that
Bosco,
if this is a Kenyan
and, Bosco, for example,
and has all rights
and Bosco from Embu County, who has vied the position of senatorial position in Embu County and could not make it to Senate, understands the procedures and the
Can we question
process.
the member of parliament here, because these names were presented to parliament?
Before you even question him,
it's okay. I can pick it up. From there. Thank you very much, Linda. Just that specific issue tells us something. Here is the Linda of ODM, who picks an ODM representative for Bondo as his brother. Is an ODM representative for Kisumu, his sister. Then he picks the Yala representative, his daughter. Yes. That is the democracy that we are talking about. Yes. So if this ODM leader doesn't get what he wants, you'll never have people fighting in the streets. That is why I'm asking, where did our patriotism go? Because if you are patriotic, this is the wrong time to raise a finger in Kenya. This is the wrong time for the time for us to sit and reason together and ask ourselves, how can we piece up this economy together? And I believe that is the thinking and the spirit in the Kenya Kwanza government. We would like to be together to save this country from going with the foreigners, number one. Secondly, we need to have what we have, harness the little we have, invest that little we have, give the greater majority of Kenyans an opportunity to have a better living. Have options and possibilities for our people to become better. But this is not the right time to instigate. This is not the time to volatilize this issue. It's not the time to speak so strongly against very small issues, petty issues. And I'm very surprised, and I'm sorry to say this, Mogo has actually shocked me. Degwa Jiro has actually shocked me. As a constitutional lawyer, to speak about, to even give the Marxism as an example here. We know Marxism did not work.
It's not applicable.
We know it is not applicable here. This is a democratic state that is people are elected. And when you're elected according to our constitution, you form the government. Now that Raila has no possibility for being part of this particular government, he has to cause chaos and mayhem so that the levels of destruction and the fear that he creates in this country warrants him the negotiation position.
At the end of the day, the Kenyans
will
not question the right honorable Raila Odinga. The Kenyans will question the government of the day. If it is a question of protection, we're going to ask President William Ruto, yes, why are you not protecting us?
I go back to now whether the police are in, whether Mkome, for instance, who has been mentioned here, was lawful. Ruto was abiding by the law to say, we put this aside.
Yeah.
I don't think Kome said we set aside Article 37. What Kome said, the kind of demonstrations we are having in this country are not as per Article 37 description. These are demonstrations that are violent and meant to cause mayhem and necessary to send the wrong signals and maybe coerce or force the government to think in a direction that is being provided for by Azimio.
Okay.
That is not the issue. The issue is, if we want to do a country together, we need to look at, these are the provisions we have in the Constitution. Yeah. These are the provisions we have in the law. The penal code is very clear. These are the choices we have. Do we want violence or do we want an amicable, dealing of a solution to this problem?
Chapter 4 of our
Let's be fair to Wakili.
Chapter 4 of our Constitution. I may not, I've gone to a lot of law school, but I'm a law school student. I'm also a leadership and governance student, a PhD student, and I'm almost finishing. And I understand very well. And being at the machinani with those people who vote, I understand the problems of these people. I'm saying chapter 4 of our Constitution talks about the Bill of Rights. And when you look at Article 37, which are talking about the picketing and all that, the rights of the people who are picketing stops at a place or a junction where the rights of the people who are doing business at Kirinyaga Road who require security, it kicks in. That's where the security, their rights also kicks in. You get that? Yeah. So,
Linda.
So I have a point there. So what am I saying? When you try to cause chaos, when you kill people through the demonstrations, I mean when you cause demonstrations that are causing death, when you cause demonstrations that are killing business, disturbing business, closing schools, closing roads, what are you doing to the economy? What are you doing to the economy? You are complaining about the cost of living, yet you're spoiling the economy.
Part of one principle that a picketing process should achieve is to disrupt the normal flow of things. So that upon that disruption, then the message will be sent to the person who is supposed to receive this message. People are complaining about the draconian and oppressive and extractive regime that has come with oppressive laws that will make people close down their business, whether they like it or they don't like it. Anyway, so for you to understand the economic implication of this Finance Act, it is in the normal course of business for a picketing process to disrupt the same process that you are seeking to legislate and of course kill it otherwise. So when people picket, and this was done in America, you remember the case of Rosa Parks in 1957, you remember all the demonstrations that were done by somebody like Martin Luther King, people like Malcolm X. We saw it violently in places like Mahatma Gandhi. We have always seen it disrupting the normal flow of business so that the power that be may respond to the call that the picketers are raising. So when we say that we are picketing, peaceful picketing does not mean, that does not intend that normal flow of business will continue, because impact will not be created unless there is that disruption. And then we are simply saying that this disruption is being thrown out of context by the police when they respond to peaceful demonstrators with fire. And I want Minister Githure Kindiki to call for the audit of even the police officers who shot peaceful and armed demonstrators. The law says you have to respond with reasonable force. If I appear before you with a gun, respond with a gun. If I don't have a gun, why do you have to respond with a live bullet? Is that a reasonable force? Because we must hold everybody to account. Those who destroyed people's property must be held to account. The police equally must be held to account. Why? Because we must have fidelity to the law. If I am saying that the police is not supposed to respond with the fire, then me as a demonstrator, I must respect people's properties. But there's a fundamental question I am asking. On Monday and Tuesday, were there people's properties? They have avoided the answer to that question.
I will respond to that.
Well,
the answer to the question is
that.
yes, there were people's properties. Were they destroyed? No.
Were these demonstrations, Wakili?
No,
this was just the Right Honorable Raila Odinga.
Picketing is a continuous process.
Really?
Okay.
Both mentally
Then you close
and
the country.
physically.
When
you see the people
then
who
shut the
are,
country.
when you see the people who do not buy the kind of the goods being sold by this extractive regime, we are in a struggle. And the struggle is both a condition of the mind and then you execute it physically. Now let me say, let me mention one thing as I pass over to Mheshimiwa. Mheshimiwa keeps on speaking about debts. Oh, we need to raise the taxes so that we can collect debts. We can pay debts. William Ruto, as at April of 2023, 6 months upon taking office, oath of office, he had borrowed 1.4 trillion. Uhuru Kenyatta, at the same time, 6 months after taking office, he had borrowed 1.3 billion. So William Ruto has borrowed 17 billion more than what Uhuru borrowed. Then you keep on saying this is a guy who is a saint, he does not deal with loans, he does not borrow, he won't overtax people that he can pay loans. The question is,
let's get facts.
Facts correct, misplaced.
No.
Numbers 1.3.
No. If I am misplaced on facts,
let it be.
Bring a
that is why Mheshimiwa is here.
Bring a contra position.
Yes.
That yes, I have misled the viewers on how much William Ruto has.
But there's been borrowing. That has to be acknowledged.
By the way, this is up to April.
6 months.
6 months from today. From April to date, I don't know how much he has borrowed. So all what I'm saying is, what Mheshimiwa is asking about patriotism. Patriotism must be practiced by all Kenyans, not one group of Kenyans. There is no patriotism that's supposed to be practiced by Azimio and patriotism that's supposed to be practiced by Kenya Kwanza. Patriotism means that when the members of parliament gather, they will be patriotic enough to listen to those people who voted for them, whether they want this finance bill or they do not want this finance bill. You saw what happened to Osoro, the chief whip of KK, when he went to Kisii. He was chased away. He was told, you cannot talk to us. You cannot talk to us. You cannot. It is everywhere, even in social media. Why? Because people have no connection with these members of parliament. And that's why we are telling people, let us go and exercise our powers under Article 1. It's the first time we are going to test the applicability of Article 1 because it is in our laws and it's a constitutional provision.
And factually speaking, perhaps not to support Mheshimiwa, not to support Wakili, by the time it was April, of course, he had borrowed 17.4 billion more than his predecessor. Yes. You might need to give us the facts and the figures and all that if need be, but proceed to argue.
First of all, there's something I said which I need to correct, that members, the elected leaders have no connection with their people. The Honorable Soro is elected by the South Mogirango electorates. It is not the entire Kisii community. He's not a governor or a senator. That meeting was an Azimio meeting. It was not a meeting of his convention. So there are some facts that we need to put straight. Secondly, we saw demonstrations in certain parts of Kenya, not in all parts of Kenya. Why wasn't it possible to have a single tire lit in Meru town? And there was an effort. Kioni was there, Martha Karua was there, Munya was there. Why wasn't it possible?
They were organized.
It is, the people are patriotic. They elected this government into place, and they want to protect that government. So why wasn't those things? Why are they not? Were they not witnesses everywhere in Kenya? When we talk, let's talk from backgrounds. Let's talk from proportion. In terms of proportions, who actually is aggrieved in this case? Then I go back to the issue of disruption of the normal function of state. Yes, I agree, 100%. We have seen picketing in many countries. Even the owners of the shops and the people passers-by join the picketing because it is peaceful, it is orderly, and it is unarmed. But when people are picketing, they move from one point to another. They submit their memorandum and go back peacefully. They have already disrupted business, and they have basically submitted their wishes.
Okay.
Let's look at picketing in Kenya. Where do they start? Right from their dwelling units. Blocking the roads and burning tires. Is that part of it? Is that peaceful? Is that what he's trying to teach us here?
No, but
the other issue is, no, let me tell them, you had your time. Okay. Excuse me. Let me ask, when people start by breaking, the guardrails, burning tires, burning people's cars, stoning people, innocent people who have absolutely nothing to do with what is happening. Do you expect the police to sing them the hymns and the choruses, to praise them? What are you talking about? There is a law enforcement mechanism in this country.
Which appears not to work.
It is called law enforcement.
Is it working?
You see,
if it is working, then why the representation of a bill?
Who says it's not working?
Is it?
We
have lost lives. We have lost property.
Excuse me. If supposing the entire Kenya, the other Kenyans who are not in the streets went to the streets and confronted these people, what kind of situation would you have? Are you trying to say that you would have the same kind of situation as we have right now? There would have been chaos that you've never seen in this country. So people are holding themselves and saying, we love this country. We would like this country to be constructed piece by piece. And that is why we do not do the kind of things others do. We don't do the kind of things that, why was there no picketing on Monday and Tuesday? I mean, why was there no chaos on Monday and Tuesday? Because first of all, the goons who are normally trained to do these things so they may cause disruption were not alerted. Those are the ones who were not alerted. The police were roaming around. Linda. And because the police in Kenya know for sure the day the demonstrations have been announced, those goons will be in the forefront, ready to fight anybody, to register their protest in form of fighting and destruction of property.
Right.
And causing mayhem. Then we did not have some of those things on Monday and Tuesday.
Linda.
Anybody can go anywhere and address people. That is not the kind of...
Linda.
That was not the organized, notified process, procession that we had like yesterday.
Right.
And people are saying, okay, Raila did not go where. I think we need to go deeper in some of these things and ask ourselves, what are we trying to create in a nation? Yeah? What exactly is our intention?
Right.
Let me ask my friend lawyer here, if this country breaks into chaos, would you be here? Would you be talking about these things? Let's stop joking. Let's look at how can we piece up this country as a people who have minds that are thinking, and the people who also love this country and love themselves.
Let's go to the facts briefly, because we said it's important that we
then
get
the point of borrowing.
Yes, borrowing.
Last year's budget deficit was 1.1 trillion. The declared budget deficit was 900 billion. Ruto came in and reduced that to 600 billion. He reduced by 300 billion.
Yes.
Reduced. But then the budget deficit means you must get money from somewhere, my friend.
And he
you
borrowed
must
452
borrow. So he borrowed 780
billion.
Not 1 point something trillion. I do not know where these figures are coming from.
452 billion in the first 6 months. 452 billion in the first 6 months. In the first 6 months, Uhuru had taken 434. Now that is where the difference of 17 points.
We are saying in the first 6 months, he borrowed 17 billion.
More than what Uhuru had
Yes.
Yes.
That is
But what about the situation?
That is what he
Uhuru took
borrowed.
a step on coming.
But it was not into trillions. It was not into trillions. It wasn't into trillions. That's the facts here that we have to get right.
Let's try to be factual.
Yes.
And
Actually, the figure
give the right
is what is going to be borrowed this year.
Yes.
This financial year.
The very same figure.
This the 718 is what is going to be borrowed in the current 2023-24 financial year. What is the budget deficit now? What will be borrowed this year? That's what I've given.
Okay.
What Ruto has borrowed is not more than 500.
In 6 months, the one that Wakili was referring to is 452 billion.
Exactly.
Yes.
452.
Yeah.
So
We're coming to you. Right.
If I was to
Linda,
react
I have a
to
point.
You have a point.
Just allow
Proceed.
My point is, our problem in this country is very simple. Raila Odinga is our problem because he believes without a handshake, without meeting our president, William Samoei Ruto, and having his issues addressed, if you call Raila Odinga to State House tomorrow and you promise him something, he will keep quiet and the country will be peaceful.
Are you giving him
now what I'm saying,
which
is not possible.
But this is the argument, and this is what I'm saying. Allow me to say this. That Kenyans are not going to look at Raila Odinga. Kenyans are going to look at the president they elected to protect him. Yeah. And this is one of the questions that we ask. It's fine. The Right Honorable Raila Odinga could be the problem. Are you giving him fodder to to worsen the situation? If the government was performing well.
All of us have families.
Yes.
We understand. And even those who are not married can understand. Mweshimiwa can tell you, or even someone who has a girlfriend, if you have a girlfriend or you have a wife who keeps telling you, I don't like this school, I don't like this house, I don't like this, and is not giving alternatives, would you live with that person again? Raila
Are you giving alternatives that are good enough?
Can I finish, please?
Okay, proceed.
If you have a girlfriend or you have a wife who is nagging, keep saying, I don't want this, I don't want that, and is not giving alternatives, you chase them away. Because Raila Odinga, for example, he said he wanted bipartisan talks. Where are you with those bipartisan talks?
Did he ask for that? He did not.
Mweshimiwa,
who stopped the bipartisan talks?
Were presented by the president. They proposed.
The Azimio team, who are 7.
Yes.
And the government side did not say we go by proportion. In this particular case, because it's an issue of national importance, and you need equal hearing, they said 7 against 7. And they walked out. Because what they were putting on the table was unrealistic.
Let me finish my case. Yeah. I'm saying this in a very simplistic way. I'm saying this. If you have someone who says, I don't want this, and doesn't give an alternative, we are saying we respect the opposition. We even want the opposition empowered, given powers, given Raila Odinga and Martha Karua given offices in parliament and check the government in a proper way.
Again, it is Raila Odinga.
No, let me finish. If they are empowered to be able to check the government in a proper way, that would be good. But we are saying this. Before even we get there, even the small things we are trying to address through bipartisan talks. Raila Odinga was advised by our president, can you bring these things in parliament? We see what you are talking about. He aborted the bipartisan talks. He aborted the parliament way. He does not want to talk. He does not want anything. What he is saying, he wants self-determination. He's looking for 15 million.
Linda.
So that he can build his own country in Cloud 9 or whatever.
Linda,
it is not possible. We are in a country that's guided by law, by the constitution, with the sovereignty. Yeah. We cannot have a man, what is it called? A jungle kind of government.
Approach. Fair enough. Let's allow it.
So what I'm saying is this, as I finish, allow me 1 minute, as I finish.
Less than a minute.
We'll give you less than a minute. I'm saying this in a very simple way. Let Raila Odinga be fair to our children. Let Raila Odinga be fair to us. When he says he means anatutetea kwa haki zetu, anatetea nani? Anatetea kuua watoto kwa streets through protest. So the idea should be, hata kama anatetea cost of living, kama anatetea cost of living, asitetee cost of living, alafu aende akavandalize business.
Okay.
Linda, I am surprised by the level of misogyny and the male chauvinism that the young man is exhibiting. In the sense that for him is too
let's not describe individuals.
Because that as well.
What has my age has to do with you? He is my age mate. He is my age mate. Why is he calling me a boy? Call me Bosco. I'm here by merit.
Fair enough.
I'm surprised by the misogyny and the chauvinism that Bosco is exhibiting this morning, that for him the solution would be to chase his wife away because they disagree and because the wife has a contra opinion. And that tells you how unaccommodative these individuals are. And that you can see, instead of listening to the issues the Raila and these people are raising, for them, they are deciding to blame the windmill instead of blaming the wind. So if the wind stops blowing, the windmill will be still. So stop blaming the windmill. Let us look at where the wind is coming, the havoc the wind is causing, the suffering and the misery the wind is causing to the people. And that wind is the unaccommodative attitude that is being exhibited by Mr. Bosco and Mheshimiwa this morning. If they were accommodative, they would understand that we want to build a country that is a one unitary tier and that the head of state leads the pack in building a unified country. But when you have the same presidency saying that this country is a country that has now been divided into shareholdings, and there are them that believes that Mr. Bosco is more justified shareholder and Mheshimiwa is more justified shareholder than myself, and that if I have a contra opinion, I become unpatriotic, that is when we start losing the debate. Because for them, anybody who supports the government is patriotic. Any person who has a contra opinion about the government is chaotic, is an anarchist, is a tyranny, is rebellious, and you give them all manner of names. This struggle in which we are, the struggle that we are now in, is not a struggle about Raila Odinga. And the masses of the people have demonstrated this. And even on Sabasaba Day, they demonstrated clearly that this struggle is not about Raila Odinga. It's about our survival. It's about our well-being. It's about the children that Bosco is addressing. For example, how is this government responsive to the plight of the people? When I walk to a hospital with an NHIF card and I cannot get treatment. How responsive is it when a kg of sugar is more expensive than 50 kgs of cement? How responsive is this government when the electricity bills are escalating on day-to-day basis? How responsive is this government when petrol currently is retailing at 195? Even the border individuals who are being targeted, they are now out of business. They are not able to fuel their border. So for him to fuel 1 liter of border, charging 50 shillings from one point to the other, the border guy needs to carry how many people? He needs to carry he needs to make 6 trips. 6 trips for him to buy 1 liter of petrol. How responsive is this government? A border guy making 6 trips for him to raise 300 to buy a liter of petrol. And that liter of petrol will again serve him perhaps for 6 more trips. So we are simply saying, let us listen to the voices of the people. Stop blaming the windmill and look and focus at the wind. If this government was not an extractive government, Linda, as I said, if it was not draconian, and if they were not trying to justify their legitimacy, they would not be speaking the way they are speaking. For example, we had him on Tuesday saying, wacha nione mtu anakwenda maandamano ni nani? Who is he? He's not above, even the president himself is not above the law. Article 27 dictates and speaks truth to power, that we are all equal before the law, and we shall die on our feet, saying that we are all equal before the law, we deserve equal treatment, we deserve equal benefit of the law,
the question of the week,
irrespective of whether you are a shareholder.
The question of the week has
Linda,
to loop you in. The question of the week has
Article
been...
27 does not say we shall all die on our feet.
Well, of course.
We have read the Constitution. We will not be constitutional lawyers.
No, I didn't say
but
that.
you have read it.
I said we shall all
Can
die
I-
on our feet, saying that we are equal before the law.
Those are the misleading
He doesn't say it's
statements.
good. Anything
Mheshimiwa,
Those are the
in case you never
statements.
understood me, I'll repeat it for your benefit.
Let's allow
Linda.
I said, Mheshimiwa, for his benefit, I said we shall die on our feet, saying that we are all equal before the law. We deserve equal treatment. We are not.
Exactly.
If they are not shareholders in this country, we are all Kenyans.
Leader,
That's what I said. Mheshimiwa, proceed.
when you hear some statements, and there is a commission on, it's called NCIC, National Commission on and Integration, National
NCIC.
National
you know
Cohesion.
it. Cohesion and Integration Commission,
Commission.
which basically identifies hate speech.
Yeah.
You know, it is hate speech to tell Kenyans to demonstrate to death.
No, I didn't say
No,
that.
let me go on. Excuse me.
Now you are treading on his
Excuse me.
I would not allow
talk.
That is a
He has had his
You are now
time.
proceeding on.
Leader, he has had his time.
I am here.
He has
I am
had his
here.
time.
I would not allow for such utterances too.
All right.
Let me say this.
Yeah.
Second thing, it is also hate speech for the Honorable Raila Odinga to be on national TV several times saying that they said they will assassinate me. If I go to that meeting,
And if NCIC does not take action, the
let me
question
tell
of
you,
Mheshimiwa
that
is Raila
driving
above the law?
people, he is not above the law.
Record a complaint.
Why is it that NCIC then is not taking?
Let me prosecute
All
my
right,
point.
proceed.
Now, the NCIC is sleeping on the job. That's what I was trying to say. Because you all should be answerable to our utterances, which are very wrong. Let me come back to the point that my brother is raising. That when the cost of living is so bad, when things are so bad, the government is doing nothing. Is it true and right to say that the government is doing nothing?
Yes, it is.
Is it true to
Yes.
say that actually the government is doing nothing? The government has been doing nothing so far to contain anything?
Certainly not.
I don't think so. The finance bill has got its issues, and the issues are just two. Two. One, the cost of petrol, which was increased, whose VAT was increased by 8%, and then the housing fund. Those are the two issues, the housing levy, that the finance bill has. Most of the other issues were agreed upon by Kenyans. Kenyans made presentation, 1,080 Kenyans made presentations to the committee. Here, I have heard this morning that the Kenya Kwanza government excluded Kenyans. There was no public participation. Honestly, what are you trying to talk about here? What is public participation? If you have allowed Kenyans to bring written submissions, 1,080, and listen to all of them, and decided to reconfigure the law to the whims of these people who have brought their petitions. So what is listening to people? Is it listening to every individual who says anything? Some things said are volatile, and they are dangerous. There are some things that we should be very careful even to say in public.
Linda.
Let me go back.
Wakili will come to you.
Linda, can you give me, you will have his time.
Yes.
Let me
Wakili,
prosecute my point.
I only want to point
Linda.
out how unresponsive this government is.
We will come to
Leader,
that.
let him do that
After
through, he
you've
can make a
submitted
press
okay.
statement. He can make a press, he can call for press statement with a release and make his point very clear
proceed,
on how the
Mheshimiwa.
government is doing that. And then we shall also make our press statement and answer
counter.
him. So we know what the government is doing. Okay. We know what the government has been doing since it got in power. We know the situation that the government has been and what it found in the office. Now let's go back to a few of the things. As far as government is doing nothing, it's a great lie. And everybody, even the opposition, knows that the government is doing something. Now, patriotism. The issue of patriotism comes in, and I want to link this one very carefully with the issue of fonder. Are we actually therefore giving the opposition fonder so that they can prosecute their point better? Oh yes, because things are not very smooth. There is a finance bill which is contested. The cost of living is high. Food has been expensive, but it's coming down. At least people have harvested and now they can feed themselves. Going forward, everything is going down. The prices of everything is going down. We have been buying everything from outside. Now we're even able to produce our own. So the idea is that at this point in time, it is not very patriotic for somebody in his sane mind, somebody with a level of understanding and experience, to get Kenyans to the street. This is the wrong time to get Kenyans out of their houses.
Can I read this?
Let me tell you, it is okay to protest, but when you go to Kamkuja, you are given the entire hearing, and you present your memorandum. Everybody hears. Does it mean that the government has not heard?
Can I read this and then you react to it? Can I read this and ask you? Let me read this. Let me read this. Says, it is clear now that Maandamano has taken a form of its own and that protesters came out on their own volition. NIS should be able to tell the presidency that even a handshake cannot save it. Listen to the people. What do you make of that statement?
Linda, may I just...
I'm not saying that.
Okay, let us be fair. Let us be fair. I'll come back to you. And I know it is 2 against 1. We will come back to you.
No.
You can manage it.
I can handle
so
it.
listen.
Leader, you are talking to me.
A brief,
and
yes, a brief response
I'll make
to
a
that.
comment on that.
Yes.
I don't think the government has come out and said we are going to do nothing about what the Kenyans are saying.
Yeah.
Absolutely no. Linda, if it is the cost of living as a result of the increase in fuel, that a border person cannot take, has to take 6 trips, the government comes in with reduction of import duty on most of the imports. There is the import declaration fee has gone down. There is also the rail and there are some duties that have been reduced. At the end of the day, the net effect is not that high. And it is not only Kenya which is doing this. Kenya does not produce oil. Kenya imports oil.
So have you failed
Uganda
in
is
proper
doing it,
communication
Tanzania
to the
is
people
doing
of Kenya
it.
for them to understand this?
So the most important thing, maybe it has not, sensitization has not been sufficient.
Linda.
Maybe we needed
we'll
some
come
more
to you.
time because the finance bill passed the other day.
Linda.
Maybe there are so many things that we need to look at. And that's why I'm saying it is the wrong time to agitate an already suppressed
Linda.
Kenyan. Every Kenyan is suppressed.
To the
Can I finish?
Before Bosco comes in, 30 seconds.
Let's
Let's allow you 30
take
seconds, and then
this
Bosco,
point.
you come in and
Can I
take
finish?
ample
Let me
time.
take this point, Mheshimiwa, just 1 minute. To the
yes.
run up to the 2022 elections, the same situation was prevailing in the country of Kenya. But as at that particular time, these guys, the Kenya Kwanza people, they had cut out Kenya from the rest of the nations and the Committee of Nations. They isolated Kenya and they focused on Kenya that this was a unique situation. When we said that there was war in Ukraine, when we said there was COVID effects, we were told no, don't blame cost of fuel on war in Ukraine. Don't blame cost of fuel on COVID. Now they are saying, they are realizing all of a sudden that Kenya is within a Committee of Nations and the situation prevailing in Kenya is not unique to Kenya, and therefore we should look at it from a global perspective. I agree. But look at it this way. Mheshimiwa William Ruto, in the month of March, they got into a government-to-government procurement of fuel. We were told that now Kenyans will be able to buy fuel using, import fuel using Kenyan shilling. And on that basis, we were told it is going to lower the pressure on the dollar, and that within 2 months, the dollar would be retailing at between 115 to 120. To date, 3 months later, 6 months later, the dollar is retailing at 150 shillings. Why? If the importation of fuel through government to government would have been an issue and would have brought the fuel cost down, why is the dollar not changing? Number 2, we were told, we bought this fuel on credit. Today, the government of Kenya owes over 300 billions to the supplier in Abu Dhabi.
Which is?
That is money that we are yet to pay.
But Linda,
Mr. Bosco,
has the fuel been sold? Has the fuel been given out for free?
Mr. Bosco, we are more informed. Mr. Bosco, we are more informed.
This is a systematic misleading of Kenyans that we are
here on TV.
Bosco, when you come to this show,
even the name of the supplier and the amount.
Bosco, when you come to this show, you must understand you're not addressing your voters in Embu, you're addressing the people of the nation. So do your research. Do your research.
That's why I'm quiet on your.
But Mheshimiwa is asking, is the fuel
the debt that we owe today, the companies in Abu Dhabi is over 300 Kenyan, 300 million.
Now, I'm asking a very fundamental question here.
300 million.
Could I be answered?
Okay, all right.
300 million.
Yeah, let me be answered this question.
And you saw the
Wakili, fair enough.
Linda, you saw the expose
the noise.
Fair enough.
How has come?
Let us balance this. Wakili, fair enough.
Yes, let me finish.
No. We'll come back to you. We'll come back to you. Let's try and balance this. Bosco is here. Bosco will respond, and then Mheshimiwa, you come to you.
This is the noise that we are saying. Kenyans do not need to be treated. Exactly. It is the time to reason. Now, my simple question is: did the Kenyan get that fuel on debt?
Yes, it's on debt.
And they give it out for free.
It's on debt.
There is money to pay that fuel. Let's think like people have even been to school.
It's on debt.
I think there is a problem here.
The question is, has the pressure on the dollar reduced? Has the pressure on the dollar
Bosco, it's your
What
turn.
caused the pressure on the dollar?
Have you reduced the pressure on the dollar?
Can I ask him?
You are told
Gentlemen, we have to have some balance.
15 billion stolen from
Mheshimiwa.
settlement. Most of it was in US dollars.
Mheshimiwa.
Can they return that money and then we'll be fine?
And
Speak.
First of all.
the DCI, you own the office of the DCI. Go and
Wakili,
report now.
let's have
It
some
was
order.
said in the
Let's have
public,
some
in the
element
public
of
domain.
order. Gentlemen, let us have some element
Wakili,
of order.
Wakili
Bosco.
Ndegwa, behave like a Wakili, have some manners in the debate, we'll talk to you.
That is
you
not
know,
here.
he's
That is for
something-
me to call. That is for me.
I take that as a
I'm sorry.
compliment.
Proceed.
I'm sorry about that.
Right.
Now,
I
but
take it as a
I'm just telling.
Proceed.
I'm just telling him to be civil.
Proceed.
I
The
take it as a
civil, the
compliment.
issue. Okay, whatever. It's okay. What I'm saying is this. We know we can talk here about bad things about the government, the protest, and all that.
It's not protest, fuel cost.
Wakili,
Now-
can we have some order? You
now,
have your time to respond.
is Kenya's
Mheshimiwa,
fuel
you
cost
will
more than
understand.
Uganda? Uganda is the 195
You see, I'm
or
the
200.
speaker here.
Linda, can you-
What's
I'm
the
the speaker
problem?
and the moderator. I will call the shots.
I'm asking
I
one-
will allow
one
this
question.
gentleman to
Yes,
speak and then
Uganda
we'll
is
come
in
back
the
to
same
you.
region
Yes,
as
it is.
Kenya.
I'm
So
saying
there's
that-
absolutely no,
Proceed.
instead of benefiting Kenya.
Mheshimiwa, hold your horses. I'm saying, and in a very simple and polite way, we can stay here until tomorrow and discuss bad things about the government. The role of the government is to give services to the people and to succeed. And after they were elected, the role of the opposition is to pull down the government so that they don't succeed.
You're misconceived.
That's so, maybe.
Politically
Politically
speaking.
speaking.
Yes.
So
How do we
and it's open secret that it's known. That's what happens in the political
Space.
game. So ideally, we can stay here until tomorrow and talk about the bad things without talking about the good things that the government is doing. I want to say here now that the government of Kenya Kwanza, led by one president, His Excellency William Samoei Ruto, has done the following, especially in Embu. We have benefited a Madaraka Day with a stadium, state-of-art stadium. There's another international stadium which is being...
That is questionable.
let's
No, let's not get even to
May I come in,
Embu.
please?
Before even you get to Embu,
Proceed.
let's get to the national
May I
level.
come to
Proceed.
him?
The national level.
May I come in?
Before you go to Embu,
Shortly.
in the national government, in the national platform, it is common knowledge that there's a hustler fund somewhere. People are enjoying the hustler fund. People can get loans at their secret or funds with dignity, individual and groups. Affordable housing is coming as a big thing that is employing our youth. When that affordable housing, which was launched in Embu with over 5,000 units by His Excellency William Samoei Ruto the other day, will benefit me as a person because I'm a resident of Embu County. Yesterday I was in Embu County, hakukuwa na maandamano because people of Embu do their business. Can I talk?
Wakili will come to you.
So when the people of Embu benefit from the affordable, I'm giving you an example and demonstrate how it's helping the people and me personally. Affordable housing is the cure to our problem of unemployment, for example. How? When that affordable housing is built, 5,000 units are built in Embu County in an area called Mudatare or near town, the people who are constructing in the industry, the mafundis, the wakilis like him who come to do the conveyancing, the people who will come to do surveying, QS, all that, will be children from Embu County. And it is being done in all over the counties, all over the counties in Kenya. When we talk about hustler fund, as I've talked about, it is empowering our youth to get fund.
That we know.
Every regime normally comes with a fund. We saw kazi kwa vijana.
telling us what
We
you
saw
already
kazi
know.
kwa vijana during Kibaki's regime. We know where the money. We are talking about the Uhuru regime.
You're telling
we
us
saw,
what you already know.
Can I talk, please? We saw it during...
Advance the argument.
Okay, let's
first.
give
Let him advance an argument.
his
first.
time.
Linda.
Let him advance the argument
Perhaps
further.
I'm saying this,
What he's
Linda.
telling us,
His turn.
Let's avoid
Let him advance the
side
argument
show.
further.
I'm saying the hustler fund has helped.
Yes,
Cut to chase, cut to chase, cut to chase. Cut to
You
chase.
cannot tell me what to say.
Bosco, cut to chase, please.
I'm saying the fertilizer which was given to the farmers, for example, it was given a few months ago. People have planted using the fertilizer. Previously, the millers were enjoying a game of ping pong, buying from the farmer the way they want, selling the unga to the farmer the way they want, or the producer the way they want. Now, there's a new sheriff in town called William Samoei Ruto, who has
there's
brought
so much that he's doing.
so much that he's doing. He has brought the fertilizer which is subsidized. People have planted maize. There's a bumper harvest coming.
That we're looking
So the
forward to.
people will have food in their stomach. Digital platform, the digital jobs are being created now. You should be aware, if you are a good Kenyan who cares about the unemployment, every ward in this country, there will be a hub, an IT hub, technology hub.
Let us look
there
forward
are 5,000
to these
services.
things. Let us look forward to these things. And it's
On
important
e-citizen
that
already,
yes.
there are 5,000 services which are being offered. When you talk about help, funding has been increased in the new budget.
Fair enough.
When you talk about the 47 countries,
Fair enough.
47 counties, each and every county, the government is building an industrial park,
Bosco,
an EPZ zone. With the amount for GS.
And that really is not to celebrate, because that is the role of the government. That really is the role of the government. That is
the
what the
problem
government
with
should do.
the government has removed
Bosco, let us balance the time.
LPG gas.
Bosco, let's balance the time. And you know, the government should not hit the chest because of this and that and everything, because that's basically what the government is supposed to do.
Am I doing wrong to say what the government has done?
No, you're not wrong.
I'm on point.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Fair enough.
So it's wrong. It's wrong to advance the point of the government.
Good. 2 minutes before we take a break.
Let me spend my 2 minutes by first of all disputing the statistics that our friend here is using. First of all, the dollar to the shilling has not gone to 150. Yes. It's actually at 141. Today, check. It is there in the just check. I will just confirm. Excuse me.
We are supposed to be having
Can you behave?
Can
you ask him to be?
His argument is that we're supposed to be having it at 120.
Let's have some kind of decorum.
140.
This is the noise that we are saying is not useful to Kenyans.
It's okay.
A lot of noise which is misleading, continuously and progressively misleading. So,
but we are supposed to be having it at 120.
Who said the presuppositions? Let me tell you something. Can I prosecute my point?
Yes, but also borrow leave from what the president said.
I am not going to borrow leave from anybody because I have an independent mind.
Wakili, you'll have your chance to respond.
I don't think that is necessarily saying that I believe or I do not believe.
Let us allow him prosecute his case in the best way he understands. Proceed.
I am saying I am an independent thinker, and I am talking about reality. I'm saying it is 141. Yes. And very informed, by the way. Secondly, Linda.
It's factual, yes.
You look at a country like Japan. Japan deal with yen. Japanese yen is only in terms of hundreds. If you look at the exchange rate of our yen to the dollar, it's a lot more than Kenyan shilling, close to 100 times. Now, it is really not the exchange rate that is important here. What is important is containing the inflation. What is important is managing the excesses in terms of even this fuel. They're arguing that the EPRA, Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, broke the law by not waiting for the case in court to end. Just ask yourself, if we allowed everybody who is selling fuel to fix their own prices because what would we be having right now? It would be unimaginable, and we could not even be able to bring it to a level. So sometimes it is possible to contain the situation as we wait for the law to take its course. On the other issue, the issue of the fuel in Kenya, fuel in Kenya and fuel in the region. We should be telling Kenyans that it is not only the Kenyan who is buying petrol at 195.
No.
That is exactly what the Ugandans are buying. That's exactly what Tanzanians are buying.
Excuse me,
so,
Linda.
We are living in an East African common market. Protocol was signed, and we are a common. I mean, we are moving towards.
You will come to respond, Wakili.
Linda,
I'll
let
give
me
you a chance
finish.
to respond after this short break.
Okay.
After this short break, we'll have 10-15 minutes to close it. After this short break. of this segment, perhaps 15 minutes only. Only 15 minutes, gentlemen. We can't go beyond that.
Yes.
And of course, we get to hear your view in response to that.
Yes.
But of importance is, you know, the bill that has been proposed by Mbeere North, Member of Parliament, to counter protests. Or is it to counter or to manage? Because clearly, the laws as they stand, no matter how good, we have not been able to manage this condition as a country.
Linda, may I first of all begin by where Mheshimiwa left. What he's not able to explain is whether Mr. William Ruto lied to Kenyans when he said that in 3 months' time, the dollar will be, because of the government-to-government procurement model of importation of fuel, when the dollar will be trading at between 115 to 120. As correctly observed by Mheshimiwa, today the dollar is at 114. No deduction, sorry, 41.
41.
No deduction. So did Mr. William Ruto lie to Kenyans? That's the fundamental questions we need to ask ourselves. Number two, when are we supposed to believe him that even all these promises is going to fulfill if something like this, which is so much controlled by other factors, has not realized the promise? Does he understand the plight of the Kenyans and the hustlers who voted for him, that people are going to bed hungry? Does he understand that students and pupils are not in school today? Does he understand the difficulty our people are having in accessing health services? We are told we should not go out for demonstrations. We should sit down and wait for government to work. In the Bible, there were lepers who were held up somewhere. There was no food in the Bible. I think in the book of something, Numbers or Judges, I don't remember. So these lepers sat and they realized, if we sit down here, we are going to die. We better go to the next village. Even if there is military there, at least we'll get something to eat. So they said, if we stay here, we are going to die. Again, if we go to that village, we may also die because of being met with the force of the military. So they decided to go.
In the Bible.
So they decided.
No, it's true. Whatever he's saying, that verse I have read.
Sorry.
All right, that verse I have read. I understand where it's coming
point. The idea is that the lepers made the noise was heard.
Yes.
So please,
He does not
don't take too
The
long.
idea is that the lepers proceeded to.
It's okay.
Now, what makes you think
an
that
analogy,
somebody doesn't
sort of.
No, he
understand?
has
Thank you,
to be factual.
thank you, the teacher of the Bible.
He has to be factual.
That is the
Bosco,
teacher of the Bible.
this is more of an
You need to understand the
There was no
philosophy.
military in the
It's too long or
Bible.
nothing.
You need to
There is no
understand.
analogy in the military.
Proceed.
You need to understand the philosophy for you to be able to catch up with the debate, Bosco. But what I'm simply saying, had the lepers not made the noise, they would have sat there and died. So please, allow the lepers to make the noise.
Precisely.
And that's what we are
within the
saying.
confines of the Constitution.
When you come with that kind of a bill,
let them make the
when
noise.
you come with, and the police and the state should not be used to curtail the lepers from making the noise. They are making this noise to save themselves. They are making this noise to save the democracy of this country. They are making noise to save the multi-party democracy of our country, which is being mutilated. Now coming to what...
Actually, you have to balance that. We only are left with 15 minutes.
Yes.
We will respond to
that bill, that bill will not even see the light of the day.
You think so?
It will pass in parliament because they pride themselves for the majority, but we are waiting for it in court because the court will have to square that bill vis-a-vis the ability to limit the application of Article 37. Article 37. The law says, if you look at Article 24, if you have to limit the applicability of a particular right, it must be justified by a civil and a democratic society. So which democratic society limits the rights of self-expression, the rights of picketing in the manner in which the bill is proposing to limit? So those are the issues and the fundamental issues we'll be dealing with. So they'll pass it in parliament because passing in parliament they will, because there is no parliament anyway. This is a cocoon and a conglomeration of individuals who are there to praise individuals. It's a conglomeration of people.
Even your own
I cannot sit here, Linda, I cannot sit here. This man who has never been trained as single political election.
He has
never been trained to be a member of a kettle dip.
Sorry.
And he can try to talk about the limits.
He lost terribly.
Linda,
The word
Linda, excuse me.
He is not popular.
The word conglomeration
I can tell you. I know.
This one is insulting the elected leader. I can't sit here as an elected leader and listen to you. Sorry, no, we can't.
You see, we're trying, we will come to you. You'll be the last speaker.
Sorry, the word conglomeration is not an insult. I'm sorry if you thought it is an insult. I'm sorry, the word conglomeration is not an insult. I'm sorry if you interpreted to mean that.
A conglomeration is a
But Linda does not respect the lawyers. He does not respect the members of parliament.
He's a lawyer himself.
Next time you
doesn't make him an English teacher.
You're not going to make it.
Next time you bring people, and especially from this side, and not from the right side. The right side, I'm comfortable. The left side, you bring me somebody who can equal the debate next time. If you invite me next time with people who cannot equal to the debate,
I'll not turn up.
Allow me to.
Because instead of focusing on the debate, he's attacking personalities. I have not attacked personalities here. I'm only
but you said I'm a boy.
Parliament is a conglomeration.
Bosco.
Sorry, I said you are.
There's a member of parliament here, Wakili. There's a member of parliament. He will speak to that.
I have a lot of respect for him.
Let me respond to what he has said.
You're the last person.
You're
parting shot, Bosco.
I have a lot of respect for him.
Can the temperature calm down now? Can this
has got nothing to do with.
Can you hold his mouth? He keeps quiet when I'm speaking.
Please, Bosco.
So what I'm saying this,
only 2 minutes to close.
You know, Linda, it's only good to be fair to us.
Proceed.
Especially me because I'm a young guy.
Proceed.
And he said I'm a boy, I'm a what?
You see, Bosco, your 2 minutes are.
It doesn't matter. What I'm saying is this. There are things I never let go. If you feel I'm a young person, you should not have called
young
me.
Young does not mean that.
So let him not call me young. I'm a
you said you are young.
What I'm saying, Linda,
say that?
The government.
Proceed.
So let him not attack me when I'm speaking. Just keep quiet.
Proceed.
I'm saying this, Linda. What were you even debating? I'm saying, Linda, we should not be here talking about the bad things of the government, talking about how our country is going to be overturned.
And that you have stated.
Yes. Can I prosecute my point? Whichever way I want. We cannot stand here and show Kenyans the ugly thing about our country. Kenya is a democratic country. Kenya is peaceful. We love our country. We should not destroy our country just because so-and-so wants to picket, wants to vandalize people's business. What am I saying with that? I'm saying Kenyans should not be treated the way we are being treated by the Railas and the Maandamano we are having. Kenyans are wiser than that. When you said the cost of living, for example, when you say Raila Odinga and the team are protesting because of the cost of living, let's have a dialogue. Let's have a proper dialogue in our country. Let's have our leaders speaking and have a proper dialogue, public participation and all this put together. Let's have soberness. But this kind of noise we are having here will not help. And Mheshimiwa has said that over and over again. When we want to build a country, we have to be sober, we have to call each and every person on the table and discuss the real issues. We discuss our real problems. When we say there's a problem of fuel increased prices in our country, it is even the same thing in USA. When we say they have a problem with the dollar, even the president of US, I saw him the other day crying, the dollar problem. When we say the government has done this, has done the other one, when we say, for example, there was a 8% VAT on LPG and it has been exempted, it is true. When we say the government of the day is building structures to be able to build a better future for our people, it is factual. When we say in the manufacturing industry, for example, in the bill, the finance bill, there's a lot of tax exemption which has been done. And for example, you see farmers, there's a problem of sugar prices. You know? Now, the government is doing this. In the Finance Act, you have tax exempted the cost of transportation of sugarcane from the farmer to the factory. Who is talking about that?
Thank you.
When we talk about manufacturing, the people who are manufacturing, 1 minute, 1 second. The people who are in the manufacturing industry of healthcare, drugs and all that, they have been exempted. That
close it for us, Mheshimiwa.
Thank you, Linda.
Close it for us.
Thank you very much, Linda. I just want to highlight a few issues. First of all, the question is whether the government is doing anything to ensure that people get healthcare. Whether we are seeing the efforts in restructuring KEMSA, whether we are seeing the efforts in the total reconstruction of the health facilities across the country, whether we are seeing the efforts in the universal health coverage that the government has proposed and coming up with, which has already been funded in this budget. The other issue is the issue of fuel. Did you lie? I don't think Ruto lied at all. Fuel is the most traded commodity globally. And the dynamics are as diverse and as many. Yeah. When you make a proposition, it must have been processed through the econometrics. The economics must have looked at it and said, if we do this and that. Remember, we are trying to contain a situation. But the question is, when the prices were moderated, did they stop moving up? It is true, yes. They stopped moving up. In fact, I remember the price of fuel was stabilized. It was just continuously moving up, and it was stabilized before the bill, before the act went through. On the other hand, is Roko, my friend Roko, is he out of order? Is he going to have a law that is going to help us? Why is he coming up with this law at this point in time? Two things. Number one, Roko is not trying to say that we suspend any article of the Constitution. Roko is saying we need sanity and we need people to take responsibility of the destruction that goes on with demonstration. There is no particular linkage with any law that accosts anyone who organizes demonstrations to take responsibility of the destruction. If Raila Amolo Odinga would take responsibility of the destruction that occurred yesterday, there would have been no need of police, and he would have conducted that in a manner which is prescribed by the Constitution. What you're saying is that there's a constitutional lacuna in that particular issue. When you're describing peaceful demonstration, unarmed, then you see people with rocks and stones and rungus and everything else, and then you also see people blocking the road even before the police get there. Provocation, you see provocation. So anybody who goes on, who organizes a demonstration, basically must take responsibility. That's what we are trying to say, that we should not have things just loose. People's property is destroyed. People have taken so long to bring up what they have, to amass what they have, to invest. They have taken long. When you come and burn my car, meet on the road and burn my car, honestly, it might not even be comprehensively insured. Right. And then I lose everything. Are we supporting this country? Is burning people's property making a statement? Isn't the Sabasaba statement enough? Who doesn't understand what was said on the Sabasaba? Do we really have to repeat it every day so that we can make a bigger statement? Let us say what we are interested in. We want to cause chaos in this country. We want to force negotiations which are out of the Constitution. The Kenyan Constitution is very clear. The winner takes it all. The winner has taken, the winner has formed the government, and the winner has included Kenyans as it was.
The verse of the Bible is Luke 17:12 to 24. Let him go read it.
The conclusion from
that Bible that verse I have read. It is also in the Old Testament.
Linda,
it's the New Testament.
Conclusion from the two gentlemen
about the Diplos
who appears for Kenya Kwanza is contradicting. He says dialogue, he says no dialogue. Or what I will say, my border people.
I've seen the point.
My border people, you'll have to do 6 trips for you to afford to pay for 1 liter of food.
That is incitement.
Mr. William Ruto,
I don't think it is true.
Mr. William Ruto, the dollar has not lowered from 140 Wakili, as you promised.
Wakili, we have to
so close. To that extent, Mr. President, we are holding you to account. Did you lie to us?
And Mheshimiwa says it's not true.
What I was saying, Linda, is that the point is very clear to everyone. The point that the opposition is trying to make is clear to everyone in this country.
Right.
Let them give the government time to consider what it is that has been proposed.
Mr. Bosco,
and come up with mechanisms and addressing
by referring to you by those terms.
Handshake. Meanwhile,
I'm sorry about that.
The last speaker, the Honorable Member of Parliament of Tigania West, Mheshimiwa John Mutunga, as well as constitutional lawyer Ndegwa Njiru.